Welcome back to another episode of the program. Today we're going to discuss the 11,000-year-old human burials in Cumbria, northwest England, and the remains, which include a human bone and shell bead that were found in Heaning Wood Bone Cave, which date to around 11,000 years ago. So a local archaeologist by the name of Martin Stables, he's been excavating the site since 2016. He found a bunch of stuff like animal bones, stone tools, pottery, and these shell beads, which suggests that at least 8 different people were buried in the cave intermittently across thousands of years. In fact, it is significant because it provides evidence of human activity in Britain right after the end of the last ice age, around 11,000 years ago. Just to put that in perspective, about 11,600 years ago was when the glaciers that were covering pretty much all of England had receded. So within not even 1,000 years, people not only resettled the area, but they established burial grounds and communities and such that it's really pushing back the dates really close. So let's take a look here at the map. Heaning Wood Bone Cave is a cave of archaeological importance in Great Urswick, Cumbria, England, which is northwest England, like I mentioned earlier. It was first excavated in 1958. They found things like stone flake knives, pottery, and such, bones. The periwinkle shell bead is made from human bone, and it is so far the single oldest artifact that they've pulled out of here, which is 11,000 years old. Now, there could be a number of reasons for this. The arable land, animals, food, all of those conditions could change in an instant as soon as the earth and the climate allows for it, because nature finds a way. And it's sniffed out by humans quickly right after it's accessible. This could be indicative of a lot of things, right? Not only a testament to how intrepid and curious these humans were, but also the confidence in which, like, the knowledge base that they had. It's almost like they sought these places out rather than hunter-gatherers, trial and error, and happenstance. And it seems like to me, in light of not just this site, but other sites, it wasn't just a roll of the dice. It was a roll of the dice that they survived. But in terms of settlement and techniques, it seems pretty well thought out in light of what has been left over from those times, in light of what survived. Because I'll pull up a picture of the ring here. And as you can see, that's not in great shape, right? It's obvious what it is, but it's not in great shape. And you would expect small things like this to survive to this day. And the bones themselves or the human remains themselves are really bad shape. And they're probably going to, or they have been analyzing the DNA and such, which I'll explain that a little bit later. Dr. Peterson says that it gives clear evidence of Mesolithic burials in the north. And these are some of the earliest dates for human activity in Britain since the end of the last ice age. And the fact that these 8 different people who were buried in the cave, they were all deliberately buried, and is something that's indicative of many cognitive abilities of a population and a community, such as religion, belief in the afterlife, planning for the future. It implies other critical capabilities such as building and structuring a community for a purpose beyond survival, and is instead driven by supernatural or the heavens or spiritual reasons. So again, forward thinking and success in the environment kind of allows for the community to focus on respecting your elder, all of these things, morals, ethics, looking to higher power. As Randall Carlson would say, it implies free time. So the radiocarbon dating of these burials found that the cave was used at 3 different periods, like I mentioned before: the early Bronze Age, which is about 2000 BC, and then the early Neolithic, which is about like 4000 BC, and then the early Mesolithic, which is about 9000 BC. Another thing that Dr. Peterson quoted in the article, which was very interesting, was it shows reoccupation of the land. So it just adds to, this is, of course, this is what I'm about to say is speculation, but these are just my initial thoughts, are that any time that there's signs of reoccupation, it just makes me feel like they knew, the populations that initially came and back to the land, they knew about it. They had deliberate knowledge. They were able and ready to settle the land with not only their belief system and their settling techniques, but also their knowledge of the best places to settle. Or it makes me think about sites such as megalithic sites such as Stonehenge, because not only does it seem to imply an ancient knowledge, but also a deliberate purpose that's beyond just superstition. And that's just what I take from it. So the next steps, they're not done with the site. The scientists from the Francis Crick Institute have also sampled the burials, and they want to look for ancient DNA evidence, which could show where the people buried in the cave came from and how they were related. I think the most likely candidate here is mainland Europe. Depending on who you ask, they could have been the Proto-Celtic people or people who came from Iberian Peninsula, or they came from the Caucasus and they made their way, the intrepid people from the innermost parts of Europe and Asia, and they made their way, whether on horseback or what, because these people were capable of domestication of animals as well, and farming and agriculture, that it would make sense that people on horseback came all the way down to Western Europe and settled there, which on horseback, and if you were a skilled horse rider, it wouldn't take that long. So anyway, that's all I have for today. I thought it was a fascinating article, and it can tangent into different other interesting adjacent subjects, such as, ancient migrations and language and religion and ancient burials and stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about these things. What is this indicative of? What is finding burials and artifacts and burials a big deal, or is it not a big deal? Is it just fuel for speculation and there's no point in knowing? Or do you guys feel the opposite, that it's very valuable and there is a lot more going on, and these so-called hunter-gatherer societies were more complex than we initially think? So let me know all that in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys later.